Welcome everybody to episode 56 of the You Can't Comp This NBA Trading Card Podcast. We're your hosts, Adam, Amy, and Russell Gibson. Russell, how are you? Christmas is on its way.
It is. It's definitely coming, that's for sure, man.
It's Santa Claus is getting ready. The silly season is upon us. And I guess we kick things off with how silly it's getting. The lawsuit against Panini.
Yeah, let's get straight into it, hey?
Let's just rip into it. We've got an update from our favourite Twitter buff, Eric, the collectibles guru. Yep. Hashtag come on the show. Hashtag pocket change. We'll get you on at some point, Eric. Yes, tweeted earlier this week. Breaking news: the motion for the class action lawsuit was denied in the Panini redemption court case.
Yeah.
So in other words, anyone else wants to seek compensation for their redemption card, they need to bring their own lawsuit against Panini. A huge, huge win for Panini.
Yeah.
It's big. Did you think it was going to end any other way?
I
mean, it's America, right? So
yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, the things that they take to court over there are just so ridiculous. And I know there is money involved in this space, so you can't sort of completely discount
for sure
the entire case. But at the same time, at the end of the day, it is basketball cards, and why on earth this is ended up in court is a little bit ridiculous for me. I mean, the thought that comes to my head is I actually wonder if people didn't understand really what was at hand here, or what the issue actually was, and almost just seemed like this is too much, or it's too ridiculous, and let's just get this out of court.
Yeah.
I think also too, like, how do you from my perspective, and I'm putting myself in this like category too of we're just sort of like really a bunch of like crazy people who get worked up about basketball cards, and then the craziest, most vocal group of crazy people have then taken a court case and tried to make something happen. And I just wonder if the
world's gone mad,
or we just look like a bunch of crazies complaining about basketball cards. Like,
I really wonder what the judge thought. It's like there's a bunch of nerds complaining about their trading cards. They didn't get the ones they wanted. I haven't got time for this. Denied.
Yeah.
Look, you're right. It's America. You don't no surprises. But look, I don't know. There's probably weirder things that have been won in courts in the States, and look, I'm sure the next class action is not it's not far away. Maybe it'll be with regards to something else Panini's done.
I mean, look, my sort of thought process about this is, why did it get to this point in the first place? Like, isn't there a way that
social media has to be the driver, right? Just people being nuts and fueling other people.
But I just wonder if there was a different way that this could be resolved, because like all this stuff costs money, and essentially if Panini only has X amount of dollars to spend, because I think that was the idea when the hobby started to make more money, was that Panini would make more money, and they would sort of put some of that money back into actually making better products, and getting more people to sign and stuff like that. And then when stuff like this happens, I do just sometimes wonder if that does chip away from their profit margin, which essentially comes out of the collector's pocket at the end of the day, like, really. So
yeah, I don't know. I think in the money side of it, it probably was just crazies on social media, and somebody that had more dollars than cents thought they were going to go ahead and start this lawsuit. And crazy trains gain momentum really quickly, especially in the modern age of social media. So
yeah,
I don't know. Look, maybe it had some legitimate legs, and it might have had a chance, but not at this point. It's been denied, and yes, on to the next class action.
So my only concern about this is that this will actually embolden Panini to be more, say, disrespectful of the redemption process. Because, I mean, at the moment
You
we've
mean
got
I'm going to
lots
get
of
100 points instead of 150 for my
yeah,
trash
like a
redemptions?
lot
Yeah.
of people, having their redemptions, and I'm using air quotation marks now, you're having their redemptions filled,
Yeah.
and not with the card that they were, intended it to be filled with. And it doesn't seem like all of the cards that are coming back are of equal value, to what should have been. And then,
Yeah.
like what you were joking about the points, but that's the other thing that's happening to people too is they've been getting points instead of cards, and
Go and buy
150
something
points.
from our online store. Yeah.
Yeah, but 150 points doesn't go a long way, really, in terms of getting something nice. Like, I mean,
Mm.
realistically, I feel like you need at least 600 to get something that you
Decent.
would be happy with at
Yep.
least. So,
Yeah.
and then, I mean, this is sort of crazy talk, but I think you need like 30,000 to get a Luca rookie card. So, we're
Yeah.
talking,
Well, we're talking big points.
yeah.
'Kay, I guess this might be a mini segue
Mm,
um, into something we hadn't discussed. Do you think
sure.
when this Panini transition happens and Fanatics take over, that redemptions will be phased out?
I don't think they can ever phase out redemptions now.
Or do they try and minimize them? You know what I mean? Like, is seeing debacles like this, is Fanatics taking a long hard look and saying, you know what, there's a lot of trouble here and there's a lot of messing around and there's a lot of expense to us, let's just send points out and do it the points way. Do you know what I mean? Like, so rather than redemptions, you just have points. It streamlines the system.
I think having people in the checklist is a big draw. Like, for
True.
example, if you've got like, there's been a few Zion redemptions, so like not having those in the checklist,
Mm.
I think that will be a bad thing for the product. The other one I can think of too is Cade Cunningham. There was he signed a little bit of stuff that went into product, but some of that stuff went into redemptions. So I think in that instance, it's almost like no matter how many points you did put into it, even if say it was 5,000 points, I still
Yeah.
think the prospect of hitting a Cade Cunningham autograph is, to me, a lot more appealing than just getting points.
Getting points, yeah.
Yeah.
But look, with the new agreements amongst the players, I think Fnatic's goal is to be able to get everybody to sign so that there's no need for redemptions. And look, it's a lofty goal, and I'm sure Luba would love to have an expectation like that. But that's what I'm like. If we can get players to sign in a timely manner and facilitate that, so that we're not getting redemptions, I don't know. Maybe.
It's funny you bring that up. I was actually talking to someone about this last night of when you're doing business with people,
Yep.
you do need to set goals and you do
Yeah.
need to set timeframes, but you also need flex in the system too, because
True.
if you say to these players, you have to do something by this particular date, well, they might just say, well, I'm not going to sign at all, or I don't want to be involved in your program. Whereas if you do say, there's a little bit of flex in the system, and then, okay, fine, I can do it within the next 4 or 5 months, which then means it's a redemption in the product.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like having Chris Paul and Dwayne Wade in the one of one, timeless moments, like, yeah, they're not in the product, but
they're
in the long term, if they finally do get redeemed, actually, is that better for everyone? I'd probably say the answer is yes.
yeah.
So
No, it's a fair point.
I honestly, I hope they don't get rid of redemptions, because actually I think it's going to be overall worse for everybody. But at the same time, what I do think is going to happen, and you sort of touched on this a little bit before, is they're definitely going to try and minimize like the risk and also the burden
Yeah.
that they've taken on. So, and I think that's, to be honest, this massive push at the moment, because we're seeing a lot of people having their redemptions closed.
Yeah.
I don't think that's by accident. I think
No.
Panini have made they've had a business meeting, they've sat down and they've had a strategy, and they've basically just said, we're going to clear out 1,000 redemptions.
Close these redemptions off,
Yeah.
or else. Like, this
That's
is it's become a KPI
Yeah.
at Panini. That makes sense. I would agree with that.
And with that, talking too much manager talk, I feel like this conversation is a little bit like annual leave management, where you've got this sort of spreadsheet and it's just this like liability building up. I'm sure
Yeah.
at Panini, like the liability they've got building up is their redemptions, So,
Yeah, no doubt. I do
But-
think Fanatics are looking at it, saying this is a cluster thing of of potential issues, and they want a clean process, and they want to not reinvent the redemption process because it is what it is, but reinvent it, the structure, so that it's not as clunky as it currently is. I guess
Yeah,
that's
look,
yeah.
that might be the case, but to be honest,
Mm,
what I take away from this is that they can essentially now do whatever they want with these redemptions. They can
yeah.
give people 150 points. They can give people, an autograph that's not that good. So,
No, well, this has got to bode well for fanatics when you think about it. Like the
from a
more
business
Panini screw
perspective,
this
yeah,
up, the
yeah.
more people will just be like, anything's better than what Panini did.
Yeah, so I suppose the glass half empty view is what I just said then,
Yeah.
emboldens them, it makes them sort of confident they don't have to help us.
Hmm.
The glass cup full is, well, hopefully they'll take that money that they, put aside for the court case and put
Yeah.
that back into redemptions. That would be,
Yeah.
for me, I think that's what, they should be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Alrighty.
Interesting.
Let's just change tracks a little bit. And when I mean a little bit,
We're getting off the crazy train. We're off
I mean all together.
altogether.
So Josh Green, I want to talk about Josh Green.
Josh Green.
Yeah, so last week we spoke about who should we buy. And to be honest, I don't think I put my best foot forward yet last week. And I sort of want to just talk about the guys that I missed out on talking about because,
Yeah.
some of them I think just definitely deserve a little bit more. So let's talk about Josh Green. He is an Australian player. He plays for the Dallas Mavericks. He's 6'5". He plays in that sort of very 3-and-D small forward shooting guard. He can play
Mm.
power forward at a pinch, but
Yeah.
only under very particular circumstances.
Mm.
If you look at his basketball reference, it's pretty interesting. Everything across the board is trending upwards over all of his years, and I think that's a really positive thing.
It's
The
interesting,
other
isn't it?
thing that, I really like about the Dallas Mavericks is actually I think they've got a very strong history of developing wings and making them into, good NBA players.
Yeah.
So the one that comes to mind immediately is Dorian Finney-Smith. I think that's probably their best example of someone that they've brought in and developed. I think
Yep.
the other one too, and look, he was already a bit of a baller in New York, but Tim Hardaway Jr. But I
Yeah.
personally think the quality of basketball that he's played in Dallas has been overall better, particularly on the defensive end.
Yeah.
The reason why I actually think Green is worth talking about is because of all the players we just spoke about, I actually think he's got the most defensive potential, and I think
Okay.
playing with Luka, you do need someone to, you know, do the
Work the
dirty work.
work the
Yeah,
defensive end. Yeah.
yeah. So I
Okay.
think I really like that sort of, potential there. The other reason why I like this guy as, as a collection piece is because we do have that Australian influence. So what I mean by that is if you're buying these cards in America where basically no one cares about them, the worst case scenario you can do is bring them out to Australia and sell them to people who actually want to collect him because he is an
Yeah.
Australian kid. So I think that does actually help, his collectability from particularly our, standpoint. So I think the other, really interesting thing for me about this guy is, he's playing at the moment, he's in a stretch of playing, really amazing basketball, but his silver prism, it last sold for $5 American. So you could
There's
even,
definitely potential to make
yeah,
some coin here.
yeah, look, I think at this point, realistically, how much lower could this go? I think $5 is as low as it can go for a silver
Mm.
prism. And I think that
Mm.
definitely is absolutely worth a look at. I don't think that,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you. Look, it's all it needs is him to become a vital piece in Dallas. We keep talking about how Luca's shoulders are going to get sore from carrying the whole team, and if this guy becomes a vital piece to that core, I think yeah, yeah.
I mean,
The last sold price of $5 is going to be a distant memory.
yeah, I think for me, it's more about who would he take minutes away from. So, like realistically,
Mm.
if Finney Smith got injured, I think that's the type of situation where it would be.
Yep. Well, you've got a lot of teams putting up smaller lineups, so you know what I
Yeah,
mean. Like you can run into 2-3. It's interesting.
yeah, and the really interesting thing for me is that if you look at this Dallas team, because I think it's, to be fair, they've probably underachieved a little bit as
Yep.
the season's gone on. I think they started the year really well. But if you take Luka out of this roster is actually it's not as good as what you would probably imagine it to be. Like
Mm.
this to me is almost like the Brooklyn Nets in the West. Like you've got
Yeah. Yep.
KD, leading the Nets, and then you've got Luka, and like listen to this, Spencer Dinwiddie. Like he's a pretty decent guy, and we've spoke about
I
him
like
before in
Dinwiddie. I
Arthur.
actually, as far as a
Yeah,
basketballer goes, I think Dinwiddie's fantastic.
yeah, but he's probably their second best player, and I think
Correct.
that's not the best outcome. So Dorian Finney-Smith, Josh Green, Luka, Tim Hardaway Jr., who's injured at the moment, Reggie Bullock, Christian Wood, who has been offensively playing really well, but
Mm-hmm.
their defensive numbers with him on the floor are not great. Dwight Powell, which I really don't think I've seen him play this year. Maxi Kleber, JaVale McGee, he was in the rotation early, now he's out. Campazzo, he was actually waived yesterday to make
Yeah.
way for Kemba Walker. He's
Yeah, I was
also
going to
out.
say Kemba Walker was the big news.
I mean,
Is he just trying to resurrect his career?
I don't even really want to even mention this guy, to be honest. Like I think
We're we're not going to flog that dead horse until it's tried to
his
do it.
knees are so
Yeah.
shot. If he gets on the court for 12 minutes a game, that would be that's an achievement for a guy like
Kemba
that.
Walker's off to the glue factory if we have to flog this horse anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
Bertans, he's like really a one-dimensional shooter. Frankie Smokes, a one-dimensional defender.
Mm.
Theo Pinson, look, yeah, to be honest, I don't even know who that is. Jaden Hardy, their rookie. Tyler Dorsey, he's like a big sort of wing, but not overly skilled.
So what you're saying is the Dallas Mavericks sound like Luka Doncic and the ragtag crew.
Yeah, so I think
It's literally like it's Luka and the rest.
yeah, and the thing that really has got me thinking about Josh Green though is the way that they can develop wings. And look, maybe I'm too fixated on Dorian Finney-Smith, but
I do like Finney Smith. I think he's good. Like
I think what they did for that guy was, like, to be honest, that was a very deliberate sort of play that they targeted and developed, and I can see that for Josh Green. So yeah, he's
Yeah.
definitely been on my mind.
Yeah. I think Green. You're right. Green's a good buy, good price, and it's not going to break the bank. So maybe we'll see some Josh Green on pocket change over the coming weeks.
Maybe.
And then some bargains to be had.
Yeah. Alrighty. And then the other one that I wanted to sort of, I'm trying to make up for my last sort of poor performance is Kevin Huerter. So actually, we spoke about him. I never put the prices in. So
Okay.
his PSA 10 is currently sitting at 46 USD. That's his silver PSA 10 rookie card. It's up 15%. If you look at his graph over the last 3 months, he is a little bit up and down, but more
Yeah.
up than down.
He's definitely more up than down. Overall, yeah, the last few months he's up 15%. Yeah.
Look, I'm pretty high on the Kings at the moment, and I think this guy's going to get a little bit of shine.
I think he's a good pickup. I
Yeah.
think he is a very good pickup.
My actual gut feeling about the Kings at the moment is that he is almost their glue. Like, they've got a lot of pieces that are doing a lot of good things at the moment, but I just think that, as crazy as this is going to sound, I think as far as he sort of will carry that team, if he drops off a lot, I think the Kings are going to struggle a lot. And when he plays, really well, which he's been playing amazingly, I think they're going to do pretty well. So I sort of like that.
Yeah. Do you think he's their sort of their Jordan Poole? They're ready to explode the next thing on, or do you think that's a bit too much?
No,
I love bringing Jordan Poole into it.
Like, do you mean as it's going to go?
There's going to be a spike. There's going to be this guy is a key piece to this squad, and he's going to put his name on the map.
So I think realistically,
or is he going to be a Sadiq Bey like spike for a week and then drop out?
No, I think for me, what I would see happening here is maybe at the end of the year he's up, say 30%. That would be, to me, the top end.
Okay. So he's still got a little way to go. Another 15 on top of the 15% he's gone up.
No, maybe even another
30 on top of where he's at. Okay.
Yeah.
So $80.
And the reason I say that is because I think there is a chance for the Kings to go to the playoffs this year.
Yep.
And like, if you heard that thing and read that thing about what Kevin Durant was saying about him the other day, like, people are going to start taking notice of this guy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
When do people listen to what Kevin Durant's got to say?
I love what KD
Oh,
says.
I've got no.
KD's awesome.
I know. It's awesome to make fun of.
Yeah.
That man's crazy.
Now just like a completely useless piece of information, but I couldn't not put this into the run sheet. So I was looking at the training stuff for the San Antonio Spurs the other day.
Go Spurs, go.
Yeah, their assistant coaching staff is Brett Brown, which,
Yeah.
to be honest, I didn't even know he was
How's he
back
still
in
got a job?
He look, to be honest, I think that it was a little bit raw what happened to him in Philly.
I thought he was processed out of the system.
Yeah, and he did all the hard yards there,
Yes.
babying that team and then building it up. In saying that, I think 99 times out of 100 you take Doc over Brett Brown. Like at the end, look, I think he got it raw, but at the same time I think they
Agreed.
made the right decision. But anyway, he's back in the league, so congratulations, Brett. It's good to see you back. But this is the one that really took my notice was Matty Nielsen. So Matty Nielsen is very much like my sort of like era and wheelhouse, and I definitely remember him playing for the Aussies. So
Yeah.
like it's awesome to see him as a coach, for the San Antonio Spurs. Like I'm super excited about this. He going through it though is that he's actually been with their G League team. So as a player development role, and
Yeah.
also too he's been assistant coaching in the Australian League for the Perth Wildcats. So
Busy man.
yeah, like good for him. And also an assistant coach for the Austin Spurs. I thought it said that too, but I just missed that. Yeah. So yeah, like just honestly,
Just
I
a
love to see-
blast from the past kind of thing. Just you're like,
yeah,
oh
I just
wow.
really like to see these little stories where guys who are just like basketball lifers and then get these gigs like that. Like it's just
And you can see
awesome.
where their basketball life is sort of has ended or ended
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
And look, I don't want to have a discussion with Mike Gio, not being here, but Mike completely disagreed with my take about Utah being in the Wembanyama stakes. I'm sticking with my
I'm with you. I think that was a very bold prediction, and I know that you were nervous a little while back, like a few days back. There were nerves, but now I think those nerves can be.
So, like, hear me out here. And yes, I was not feeling great about my prediction a couple of weeks ago. I can't deny that. But in the West, there's 2 games separating first and sixth. So, like, the league is really close.
Oh look! Don't be humble about this. You called this nice and early. Look at the standings.
At the bottom end, this is from Bobby Marks. 6 teams: Houston, Detroit, Orlando, San Antonio, Charlotte, and New Orleans via the Lakers are separated by 2 games at the bottom of the standings. So that's how close it is. The other thing you do have to really keep in mind here is the way that they changed the lottery rules is that the bottom 4 teams have the same odds to get the number 1 pick. So you don't need to be.
That's right. You're right. They're spread out.
You need to be the 4th worst team. So that Pelicans pick from the Lakers. Look, the Lakers have actually been on a run the last couple of games.
So they're not actually right down the bottom, but they're still in contention.
They've had a very favourable schedule the last 10 games. So actually, the Lakers have since Bobby Marks put this out.
Yeah.
Which was only a couple of days ago, but that's how quickly things do change. Yeah. It's actually flattened out a little bit.
Yeah. But I'll just quickly, we'll replace the New Orleans and we'll go back to the maybe Utah being in it. Yeah. Because I think when we spoke about it like a month ago, the start of November, they were the top of the West. And they were 9-3 or 10-3, and it was crazy.
Yeah, they started.
Utah currently sit 8th in the West and are 12-11. They are on the verge of being at 500.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So if they lose, 5 in a row, or they win 5 in a row, that's really going to flip their season.
They're definitely being shown to be. I know, and no offense to the Jazz fans out there, but they are the great pretenders. They are very. They are on a slide. They are on a slide. I don't.
So I wouldn't go that far. I don't think they're pretenders, but I just don't think they're built to win.
Well, Danny Ainge assembled them to try and get what's his? Oh, I can't even predict. Wembanyama.
Yeah, absolutely. Wembanyama is exactly like who.
That's exactly why they built this team.
It's
to lose.
Tim Duncan play all over again. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Danny Ainge. It's a Danny Ainge special, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, all right. So if we go Houston, Detroit, Orlando, Spurs, Hornets, and Jazz instead of the Pels,
Sure.
who misses out? Who are the who are the four that are gonna? I
Oh,
think Charlotte's putting their best foot forward at the moment to be the
they
worst.
are absolutely appalling, honestly. They
Like
are
Gordon
they are so
Hayward
bad.
has had something happen and now is being operated on. Like, I mean, they've still won 6 games, but
So
I think the floor is lower for Charlotte.
look, if Charlotte doesn't have the worst record at the end of the year, I'll be just shocked. I just
Mm,
they're really hard to watch this year. So the other one to me is San Antonio. I think they're really showing their sort of true colors at
yeah,
the moment.
yeah,
And I think the other one too is Houston. Like their talent deficit is
yeah,
pretty obvious,
yeah.
and specifically on the defensive end, like they need a lot of polish, and that's the
Yeah.
kindest way I can put that forward. Yeah.
Well, yeah, agreed. I actually think Orlando and Detroit are the interesting ones here because I think Detroit, they just need experience. There's a lot of young bodies in there, and they just need experience. And on Orlando, they're exciting to watch. They're going to win some games that they probably shouldn't win just because they're a bunch of young players that are really trying to make a name for themselves.
Well, I actually think Orlando has some pretty high end talent.
Yeah,
I think Banchero is amazing,
yeah,
and that free throw rate that can't be ignored. Like
mm.
that's superstar stuff that's happening already.
Yeah.
And then Bol, um,
It's the Bol
Banchero
factor.
actually made a comparison between Bol and Wembanyama. He's saying like if you look at their two skill sets, they're really not that far apart. And he also
Mm.
made like a comparison of their body, which is, I definitely think he's pumping up his teammate, but at the same time, it's not the craziest thing in the world to say. Like
No.
he is insanely talented. And then, when you go through the rest of the roster, if Wagner's, on fire and if Suggs has got his shot going, like they've actually got a decent amount of talent on that team. I really like Orlando. I've already said
I
that.
think you said that. You've watched way too much Orlando this
I don't want
season
to bore you
already.
guys with, my love for Orlando, but yeah. Alrighty, let's move on, man. So we've actually had some really good social media interaction this week. So thank you so much. We're going to start with Ben B's post,
Yeah.
and it is a delicious picture of a Zion Williamson rookie signature card, and he's headlined it like this: "Market crashing?" question mark. This ended at $830 this morning. It is a PSA 9.
So what's 830 AU? That's around about 500 and 550
Yep.
US. Yep.
Yep. So Scotty Brand brought up comps of 1,600 USD on the 7th of October. So, I mean, that is a massive slide.
Now, my question with that though, you think
Yep.
about it,
Hit me.
is it, you know how, like, there's just, someone's actually put it in the comments, how eBay auctions end at weird times?
Yep.
Is it just a bad time for the auction because an Aussie put it up and it wasn't set to a good US finish time?
I do believe in that, but I don't believe in it that much. Like
You don't think
60%.
this is the
I don't
factor?
think that caused a 60% drop like what we've just seen here. I look at that 60% number. I'm sort of making off the top of my head, but
Yeah.
I think that's about probably what it's it's
Mm.
leaked out.
What do you think this says? Are there multiple sales at this type of price?
I wouldn't have thought so. I don't think this is the type of card that would be flipped all that often.
Yeah, that's. I'm just having a look.
For me, this is a really interesting one because for me this is where I struggle a lot. So people, the question is the market crashing? But it's still sold for $830.
Mm.
And I think sometimes, this basketball land that we live with when we're talking trading cards, it's almost like it's an alternative currency. Whereas if you actually sit back and you think, well, what
Yeah.
else can I do for $830? Well, actually, there's lots of nice things that you could do or you could purchase for it. So,
Yeah.
when I see this for $830, yeah, I know it's come down. Like, but
Oh,
at the
look,
same
don't
time,
get me wrong. Of
we
course,
need to
yeah.
hold our hats for a second here and go, actually, like, how is this crashing? Like, this is still $830. You know, so
It's
that's
definitely
my sort
not.
of first thing. So
Yeah,
the
it's
other
fair.
two things that I really think about here is the card, and then obviously the grade. I think it being PSA 9, you know, doesn't help.
Mm.
And we've spoken a little bit about this on previous shows where in the Pokemon card collecting community there is an exponential difference between a 10 and a 9.
Yep.
If you get a 10, you know, you can sell it for say $1,000, and if you get a 9, you might be lucky to get 300 for it.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so is NBA headed down towards that, you know, territory? Is NBA headed down towards that ground? And my sort of gut feeling about this is I don't think we're ever getting to Pokemon territory, but I think that it's definitely happening. And I have to admit, I really see a lot of value in the moment at nines just because of the price differential between a 9 and a 10. And I got to be honest with you, some of the cards that I've got raw that I've sent in, to be honest, they look like flawless to me. They look totally fine. And then they come back at a 9. Do you know what I mean? So,
Mm.
like, I'm sort of also coming around to that fact now is if I'm buying nines, actually, I'm quite happy with the condition of a card that comes back as a 9. You
Yeah.
know, the other one, and this is not relevant to this card, but it's still relevant to the conversation, is like when you've got 130-point cards or thicker cards, like they can come back sevens and sixes, but actually the condition of those cards is really good. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I don't consider it to be a crash per se.
Yeah.
We all know the Zion train is riddled with well, we're on the train analogy here, so track works, we'll say, that keep stopping the train and sending it sideways, sending it on a different path.
So do you mean like price variation? Is that what
Yeah,
you're talking about? Yeah. And I
like we're on a
definitely, if you
it's
look
a
at
roller
graphs,
coaster at the
yeah.
moment. Yeah.
Yeah, if you like you go onto card letter and see, you know, sales of cards, they do go up and down a lot, you know.
It's a bit of a
And
yo-yo. Yeah.
and you don't want to get sort of like, you know, too caught up that, you know, the world is crashing because, you know, maybe the next sale will be up to, you know, 1,200.
Yeah.
And my
Yeah.
last point about this card though is that it's the type of card that it is. So like just hear me out on this one.
Mm.
If you buy a box of Prism Hobby, you get 2 autographs per, right?
Yep.
Generally one of those autographs will be pretty average to the point that either it's worth $5 or $10 or it's of a play that you may or may not have heard of before. Then the other one will either be like, you know, a rookie or like a, you know, a pretty good veteran.
Yep. Yep.
But
or you'll get points. But anyway, we're not going to go into that.
at a hobby,
Nah, hobby probably not.
yeah, like at a retail, yes, yeah, but I don't know if I've seen points in hobby. Anyway, I know you're trying to razz me.
Yeah, yeah.
But how many people do you know, like, I'm buying a box of Prism Hobby in hoping of getting a really nice autograph? Like,
No.
most people are collecting Prism Hobby for the silvers and the numbered rookie cards.
Correct. So another factor you need. I think I haven't got the comments up. Why have I not got the comments up?
But I honestly think that Prism autographs are not that great.
They're not sought after. The
Yeah.
Prism is sought after for the numbered cards and the silver Prism. Silver
Yeah.
Prism is where it's at, right?
Yeah, it's the king, absolutely.
So
Like, if
when
you
you're
want a
looking for
nice
autos,
autograph, Origins, Select,
National Treasures, Impeccable,
Buyback. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
if you want an autograph, you go for the higher end product where it's on card.
Yeah.
And obviously RPA's up the scale, but you want an on card auto.
Well, that's the other thing too. This is also a sticker auto, 100%.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I suppose that now that Zion isn't this crazy phenomena, is he gonna play and people aren't holding all their Zions, he's moving in the market. He's playing basketball, but he's not the most dominant player in the league.
Yeah.
He's no longer a rookie.
Yeah.
He's a fish in the pond. So there's a lot to really get him back up to those highs that he was at.
This is the 3-year rule talking about the last episode with Poku, right? Like people, you know, they do
Yeah.
forget about this stuff. I mean, I couldn't agree with you more about that.
Do we mean this is the market crashing? I don't think so. It's probably the market correcting.
that's what. So going through the comments now, Ados, that's exactly what he said. Market is crashing for everything. Like it's not just the cards is coming down. Like
Yeah.
things overall. The cost of living. Is the cost of living going down though? It's like, can you say crashing for everything?
Crashing, but no. As in the cost of living is going up. But I know what you mean. Markets are crashing.
Yeah. Okay.
Like interest rate, yeah. The way interest rates, rent
Interest rates
rates,
are
and
going
crypto
up.
is.
Rent
But
rates
buy
is
if you
going
can.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
So all your living expenses have gone up.
Yeah.
So your ability to spend on the finer things. See, I even changed the photo on Pocket Change from a 50 to a couple of tens this week.
That was just in 1 week. So
Exactly
next week,
right.
It's gonna be
Imagine
coins
what
in the pocket. There's
it's going to
no
be. Oh,
notes.
the first one was actually coins in a tray. But that's the thing. It's then Chris Lee says crashing or flooding. Now, as I've just said, Zion is being traded at the moment. He is a commodity. It's not people holding on to this card. You know what I mean? Like, we're not in a period where Zion's dominating it and everyone's trying to hold because they're waiting for this huge spike before they sell.
Yeah.
He's being moved. Like, as a card, not a player, and he's obviously still in New Orleans. But I mean, people are flipping Zions.
Yeah.
They're not holding them, waiting for them to be worth $1 million.
Yeah.
They're trading and getting what they can so they can make the next purchase.
Yeah.
So, I think the reaction of a crash, I like to think of it as a correction because we had this insane spike. We did have an insane spike like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And now that things are back to current day prices, we'll call it, not 10 years from now prices.
Yeah.
Or future prices. It doesn't matter what the period is.
Yeah.
I think the market is starting to stabilize. I don't think it's not a Chicken Little. The sky isn't falling.
I don't think the sky's falling. Like it's still sold. This is my original point, right? It's still sold for $830. But I think so. The question going from that is like, when is the bottom, right? Because I think, to be fair,
or when does it start going up again?
Yeah, well, the last couple of months, I feel like we have both been saying it's a good time to buy. It's a good time to buy. But if you had bought that on October the 7th, well then, essentially you've lost half of your cash. Like,
yeah,
I can see how that would be not great for people too.
You lost half your cash, and
that's not great.
But why are you pulling the trigger and selling it for $800?
Yeah, I know that. Like, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
like,
no, I
being
definitely
pragmatic. Yeah. So what Chris Lee said it is, and I agree with this 100%. I personally see it as a good opportunity if you can get in on the right card at the right time. There are some good deals out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Amen to that. Like,
yeah.
Now is definitely the right time to sit down and think about actually what card do you want, and not just what card can I impulse purchase on. What is the card that you really want in your collection? Start working towards it. Honestly, this is the time. Yep.
Yeah, and we've got the market correction. It's this plateau, this dippy plateau that you get a few spikes here and there, but it's not. You should be able to get a good deal if you're focused on the right looking for the right card. Don't honestly, jump at the first thing.
Yeah, in the last I wouldn't even say 12 months. In the last 6 months, I feel like if I had a top 10 list of cards in my own collection, I feel like I've put 4 of those cards in.
Yeah.
It's like, for me, that's how I feel about the market. It's just, it's just ripe. Yeah.
And then, like I was talking about the eBay timing, Matthew Yuger and Tim Caravo was saying best to have auctions end at certain times, and maybe it was just posted to end at the wrong time in the US. Where you kind of, it's ending early midweek in Australia. So the time and the day are probably wrong.
Yep. So that's a scheduling thing. So the other thing that person could have done is they could have listed that card, this time a week ago, and then just said a week from here, 100%.
Take tips from our friend of the show, Matthew Yuga, or Josh Ferrugia.
Yeah.
Who have said like some tips on listing things on eBay is getting that the right exposure.
Yeah.
So I mean, we'll see if we can if this is what the next couple of sales of this card is. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I keep trying to scroll on the image because it says 1 of 2. By the way, thanks Ben.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's like it's clickbait.
It is.
I'm trying to see the second image.
So Tim Koravu is the owner at Get It Shipped International. So Tim, if you are listening, hello mate. I hope you're doing really well.
Yep.
And the other one that we need to comment on too is Scotty Brands. So, and look, to be fair, we've probably talked about all of what Scotty said, but I just want to give
Yeah.
Scotty credit's due. Signature is a sticker. It's base, and it's Prism's worst signature release that year, so the price is probably right about honest. That's interesting. That
Yep.
in Scotty's opinion, it's about an $800 card.
Yeah. Well, but that's what we're saying, right? We're paying that's current price. So the market hasn't crashed; it's gone from a spike to the actual what it should be.
So okay, so that sort of raises actually a good point. So do you think this is a good buy at that price
At the 800
830 for a PSA 9 of this?
sticker auto.
Yeah.
I'm still on the fence with it. My Zion, I'm hesitant with Zion, but yeah, like
Okay, so if that's how you feel, in that case, all these people that paid those double or triples of that, are you then saying that they've overpaid by double or triple?
yeah.
So is that actually the real problem at hand here?
And that's the thing. I'm looking at it saying it looks like a $500 card, which what in US current conversion it's $750. So it's probably bang on what I think it would be. So I think it's well priced. I think it's appropriately priced for what it is.
I just think that's a really interesting thought bubble, though, that another way of saying the market peaked or the market is now crashing is that people 12 months ago just overpaid and now we're paying the right amounts.
Yeah.
And like, I don't want to be the person who's trying to, like, but is that the sensible thing to say? But it just never gets portrayed like that in social media because the more catchy headline is the market crashing?
Yeah, is the market crashing? Yeah, what do we have the people calling other people idiots for overpaying?
No, people. So yeah, can't we just say, well, no, people are just paying the right amount now?
Yeah. Well, and that's why we say it's a market correction. I don't think the market's crashing. I think the market's where it needs to be. And it's a market. It's not. It's not a. It's not a predetermined road. This is the thing about a hobby like this. There's no way forward of what a card will be worth.
There's no Beckett guideline out every week telling you what to sell it for.
Yep, exactly right. And that doesn't stay in concrete for the whole month until you wait for the next Beckett to come out.
Yeah.
But it's what you think the card is worth is one thing, but yeah, it's one of those, better use of a term, time will tell what the card is actually worth. And I knew I was
going. You get one time will tell per episode, Adam.
That's all right. I've used that one. I've still got an Andrew Gaze. I've got a
no, none of this.
And a Luke Longley. I've got 3 an episode.
Matty Tabe. I'll be buying more bulk lots starting next year and in the
off season. Yeah.
Look, the off season is 100% a good time to buy.
Yeah. No, I like it.
Final thoughts on that one, mate?
I think the market's where it should be. It's not crashing.
Okay. Yeah.
I think the market spiked and now it's correcting. So
people are paying the correct prices.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty, I do have a small sort of nerd confession to make.
Ooh.
So the next one we're going to do is Jalen Green versus Cade Cunningham, and I actually saw this Cade Cunningham on the Codex Facebook page. So shout out to the Codex lads.
Yeah.
And in the comments, I then said about the Jalen Green, and I was like forming a comparison to it. And I then panicked and then thought, oh, that will be a really good social media post. So at 1 o'clock in the morning, I was doing Photoshop to get it out before somebody else would.
Nice.
That was my like paranoid thinking moment that I had. So,
if you had the idea, someone else has had the idea, and you need to get it out there now.
First. Yeah, that's
now.
Right. So
I like this.
Walking through this, the Jalen Green 1-of-1 Nebula, which was actually pulled by an Australian breaker.
Nice.
Was sent to PSA and then sent to Golden Auctions, and that's what it sold for. Actually, yeah. It sold for $61,199 USD, and then the Cade Cunningham 1-of-1 National Treasures Logoman with the 75-year anniversary Logoman sold for $204 US. So the question I proposed was
$204,000 US.
What did I say?
$204.
Yeah,
Yep. Just a,
204,000.
a little bit more than that.
I just missed the K. Yeah, the K. Factoring in current and future prices, what would you rather have? Adam, I'll let you.
I'd rather the Cade, flat out. Future prices, the Jalen Green, and I'll keep it simple. It's a logo man rookie auto. So if Cade is the player we think Cade's going to be, like a superstar level player, all star, if he ends up in that upper echelon, Curry, Doncic, etc., that's not 204,000. That's $2.4 million. That kind of card,
Yeah,
right? We've talked about how big the logo man is, right? The other one is a one of one. Don't get me wrong, good, but I think because it's just a card, there's no auto, there's no patch. That's a $500,000 card at best.
yeah, okay.
That's my thought on it, and that's why I would take the Cade.
So we hadn't spoke about this off air, so I'm actually interested to hear your thoughts about that.
Mm.
And I'm gonna give you my answer, then sort of like feed back a little bit into that. So
Yep.
I'm actually gonna go for the Jalen Green, and the reason is because in the last, so the one actually that's making me pause the most is the Luca sale, because that slid $1 million in 12 or 18
Yeah.
months or whatever happened. So I don't think if you put your money into a one of one NT that your money is like safe as houses, because
Mm.
I think that's already played out, that
Sure.
it's not right. And then just hear me out on this. I'm also not 100% convinced that NT is going to hold its current value moving forward. And the reason I think that is because none of it is game worn, whereas
Ooh.
the
Okay.
flawless stuff is. And this is what I currently see in the market. I think at the moment flawless is like hideously undervalued in the singles resale market.
Mm.
And actually I think NT is a little bit probably
Overpriced. Yeah.
overs. Yeah, and I'm just wondering, particularly this rookie crop and last year's rookie crop, um, is that going to actually sort of flatten out and correct itself, and is flawless going to find its sort of top at the food chain as it should be. So that's why
Yeah.
I'm sort of a little bit like dubious on that, because yeah, it's a one of one, but I haven't seen the back, but I would just about be 100% convinced that it isn't game worn. So
I yeah, like you're right. Like the bet is that it's not game one.
on
Yeah.
the flip side, I think Prism is still king,
Mm.
and it is a one of one. And the reason why it is a good card and it is like a safe bet is because it is literally just a card. Like, it doesn't have anything fancy on it. Like, it doesn't have a signature and it doesn't have a patch on it. But I think that also makes it special in some ways.
Yeah,
And
look,
so,
I agree on that. I just think it lowers its ceiling because it's no auto. But
yeah. And look, I think you're probably true, but I think also too, I think for that to slide 50K,
yeah,
a lot of things would have to go wrong. Now, in saying that, am I surprised that this sold for 60? Like, I think that's a really, really good return. And
yeah.
and this also goes back to what I was saying before. People say, oh, like the hobby's crashing and all this type of stuff. I mean, come on. Like, Jalen Green is
Mm.
not even the number one prospect in that draft class, and that just sold for 61K. Like, that's a massive sale.
That's a pretty big
It
sale.
is a massive sale. And again, it's not even PSA 10. Like, so
That's yeah.
um I yeah, so, and the other reason why I'm going for this too, and I know this is cheating a little bit, but like, whatever, I'm going to cheat. The way I look at it, I've still got $140,000 to spend on other basketball related cards, right? So
Fair,
I'm going
fair.
to put that 140K into sealed flawless, or I think I could pick up some Cade flawless, to be honest.
Yeah,
I could pick up some Luca flawless for 140K. So
yeah.
I know we're
Look,
playing
I
like a
think
make believe
it's an
game here, but
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, this post itself, I I like these discussions.
Yeah.
And I did touch on this off air. How about we? I don't know. We put it to the listeners, but I'd like to, even though we are called the "You Can't Comp This" podcast. Like, I like comparing cards that are different but have their own upside and have their own downside, pros and cons, so to speak. So why don't we use this as the platform to launch a segment called "Comp This," and we'd probably we can select it, like we can take turns to select cards to compare, and then discuss, and then we can put it out to our lovely listeners who do like to contribute, which is fantastic. I don't think anyone's actually emailed us. Oh wait, we've got one.
We had a couple of emails.
But people reach out in the DMs. This is
I think more DM is. Yeah,
we're living in a modern era now. Nobody sends emails. We haven't had a mailbag yet.
Yeah.
With a letter, but anyway.
I mean, look, we're brainstorming, live on pod at the moment. But what I was sort of thinking about last week was, instead of doing just straight Zion Watch, we still do Zion Watch, but we comp it to another card. I think this is just a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, yeah. We'll workshop it. Yeah.
Yeah, and to be fair, we also need to give credit where credit's due. This is what Eric does on his Twitter. He puts cards side by side, and then.
Well, he should come on the show then and tell us how to do it properly.
He doesn't so much comp it like what we just did then, like pick one, but at the same time he definitely does put it. So that's, I need to give some some credit to Eric in that space too, because. So do you want to
You can't give credit to him. He won't come on the show. So.
Let's run through some of the points. How does that sound?
Yes.
David Ralph, I'd take Green in this moment if I had a choice, factoring Cade's health this and last season, the price differential, and the way Prism holds its value and personality Green has shown this season.
Yeah.
Plays with that F around and find out attitudes seem to create more of a fan base. And he has definitely got a lot of swagger, that kid. I'll definitely agree with David on that. Yep.
All right, what have we got? I actually really like. Are we gonna? Can I go randomly?
Yeah, sure. Go random.
I really love Andrew Dean's comment here.
Yeah, sure.
I love the conversation. However, for me, one look at those numbers, and I know my wife would kill me.
I can tell you my credit card doesn't even max out to that. So, this is a completely hypothetical conversation, Andrew. Can you stay in the fantasy world, please, mate? Honestly.
Yeah. We're not actually gonna. Yeah, we're not suggesting that people even think about buying these unless they're able, and gonna escape being victims of gruesome murders from spouses. But that's another vote. Andrew, I like the edit. Under those circumstances, I can't go past the Logoman. Definitely the Grail card in any PC.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
And I guess we've sort of talked about that. Is the Logo Man the new big card for a player?
Yeah.
So I think that's sort of going in its favour.
Ryan Jewell, based on Hyperloan, expect Green to be the sexier option purely based on how he plays. Cade is solid. Cade is extremely solid, like Chris Paul solid, and a great player, but Green has that jar level athletic ability that drives hype. Yep. If he starts winning, he should start to climb. Yeah.
Yep. I like that. Yep. I like that. Who have we got then? Chris Lee. I take the Cade.
Yep.
If he makes it to the All-Star game, that card just seems rarer and more of a Grail card. Yep.
Yep. Andrew Hewitt, I like Green better, but I've got to take the Cade. National Treasure's rookie Logoman is what the hobby has decided as the pinnacle of cards. There's only one Logoman auto, whereas there's a few Prism 1-of-1 these days, which is 100% true.
The select ones, there's 45 of them.
Anyway. I don't actually think there's 45, but I see your point. Yeah. If a player goes bust, I think you'll still be able to fetch to more from the Logoman. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is actually a very, very good point.
Yeah.
But this is still silly money gambling on those rookies. Just look how the Luka 1-of-1 went down. Buy GOATs or proven players. So actually my response to Andrew was... Yeah. So Mike did this really good segment on sports card nonsense. And it was actually one of the episodes when Jesse wasn't there.
Sports cards nonsense.
I stand corrected. So the episode name is called The Vintage Narrative and Cards to Sell with Caged Lawyer. So guys,
Mm.
just go back and find that. It's probably about 8 episodes or so old now.
Yeah,
But
a
he
couple of
basically
months old. It's
breaks
really
down
good.
why buying vintage is not a home run all the time. So, um, and again, I don't want to, sort of
Can we
spoil
not open the
everything.
vintage versus modern debate?
No, and I definitely
Good.
don't want to do that. But I just think I can't sort of let that comment be made without it just sort of,
Yeah, I like. Yeah,
being commented on. Because, like, it's just, you know,
yeah,
I don't agree with that. But what I do agree with Andrew said here, which I think is a really excellent point, is that thing because
yeah.
it's actually really interesting because if you go onto eBay now and just buy a player that's say in the G League that has been in the NBA that's not in the G League anymore,
Mm.
their prices they still sell. So
Ah,
Denzel, so I've got this one here.
Denzel Valentine.
Yeah, how
Yeah,
did you know that?
you said Denzel. I don't know why, because he's not in the league anymore.
He's not. He's actually completely out. Yeah.
I was gonna say it's not Anthony Bennett, is it? Sorry, he used to be my
I've got more
favorite number
common
one
sense
bust.
than to buy Anthony Bennett. Come on. Alrighty. So this is a national treasure. So this is 1617.
Mm-hmm.
2 out of 25. It's the East West, so it's not the vertical RPA.
Okay.
On
Yep.
on card autograph, it sold for US $30. And while probably saying, well, really that's not that much money. Um, I think if you looked at his other Prism cards, they'd be selling just for a couple of dollars. So I definitely agree with
Yeah.
that. Like they don't bottom out to nothing. Um, and we've been talking about. I'm segueing in the segue here, but I'm
I
going to
love
say
it. I love it. Let's do it.
so. We've been talking about. Sorry, I
This is
have
this is
been.
Inception.
I have been thinking about this a lot, and we
Mm.
have spoken about it a little bit on the show. Is why don't we prospect in NBA the same way that baseball does? Because they have,
Yeah.
the 4A, the 3A, the 2A, and some of these like 4A cards go for absolute, bananas money. So I've been looking through some of the G League players and just trying to pick up a couple every now and then.
Mm.
I'm not going nuts on it, but once a month, once
Bit
every
of fun.
second month, every third month, and I'm really really happy with this pickup. I think the other reason
Yeah.
is too is because it's just amazing. I think for me, like I don't think this guy's out of the reach out of the league. Like I could definitely see him coming back.
Yeah. Coming back.
Gary Payton did it. Like why can't why
Yeah.
can't it happen again? So yeah.
True.
All right. End of segue.
All right. Last
Back to
comment. Last guy. Actually,
content. Yeah.
we have,
We got two more.
Lachlan Blunt said Cade for me, Logo Man, and an auto.
Yep.
Just lit. And then we've got Dane Neville.
Yep.
The Cade for me, I'd always choose an auto over a plain card.
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
Then the
Yep.
patch auto is a step up again, and the Logo Man. So feel it's a
Yep.
better card for those three reasons.
Yep.
Like some others have said, that may change if Green ends up doing more than Cade, but both sick looking cards.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think that's the sentiment is it's a hot looking card,
Yeah.
but that logo holds a lot of weight, I think.
Yeah.
Is my takeaway from that.
I do think it's very interesting though when you think about these two prospects in terms of like, skill versus hype, because there might not be any debate that who the better basketball player is in being Cade,
Yeah.
but in the hobby world, it might just be that Jalen Green is more popular. So
Yeah.
that does lead it to being, and I think that's come out in the comments. A couple
Ferrugia
of times.
factor.
That is the absolute Ferrugia factor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Ad, we've actually ticked over an hour, so why don't we go to the other end of the spectrum, do some pocket change, and then
Pocket change it and bring this baby home.
Yeah, let's do it.
Now, look, because we're recording a bit early this week, Pocket Change has only been up for a little bit. So if there's more throughout the week, we'll read them out the following episode.
That's fine. Yeah.
We've got two at the moment. Capital Cards AU. What have we got? 2019 Panini Prism Kawhi Leonard NBA Finals card.
Yeah.
99
ridiculous.
cents.
What a pickup.
PSA 9.
Yeah. What a pickup.
Cha-ching.
Yeah.
Um,
I'll be shocked if that gets shipped out, to be honest.
yeah.
That's the type of thing that would just get cancelled, in my opinion.
Like, whoops, sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's nice pocket change. And
Yeah.
then ADOS has picked up, funnily enough, one of the 75 years of the NBA
Yep.
silver prism of the Franz Wagner. Very nice. He got that for what? $225 US.
Yep.
Not a bad, beautiful looking card.
That's a really good set. We need to do a segment on this set ad because
do.
it's really interesting. They've put it in Prism, Select, and Mosaic and Optic, and then all the cards are like crossover cards. So if you get the card out of Optic, it's the Prism, and then vice versa.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. It's this really strange thing that they've done.
Oh, because it's got it.
Yeah.
Now I'll explain why I'm curious, because for those watching at home that are on the YouTubes, I, as part of my pocket change, picked up the Luca at EJ Cards.
Delicious.
And that was last week. Yeah. I didn't bring the cards with me when we did the live show together.
Yeah.
So yeah, Luka Doncic, 75 years. I picked that up for $12.
Great.
At the and that's Australian at the local card store, EJ's. So big shout out to our sponsor. Since we've got my pocket change in front of me, I've got a couple of little piles here. I picked up a Jalen Smith for $15. Select orange die cut.
What's that number 2, mate?
Numbered 265.
Oh, that's not bad.
So that was $15.
Yeah.
I don't know how these things grade the die cuts. Not very well, I've heard. But whatever.
There's just so many more corners on them,
Yeah, I was going to say so many corners to stuff up. In the $10 pile, I picked up a Halliburton Select Prism.
Cool.
Retail Prism.
Yep.
So it's the blue thingo, and a Jalen Smith Silver Prism for $10.
Nice one.
That was nice. Still on the Jalen Smith train, I got a Select Silver and a Select triple color.
Yeah, tricolor.
Tricolor for $5 each.
Beautiful.
And to round out my pocket change, I picked up a random Brandon Clark white Select rookie to $149.
Nice.
For $8, and
those whites are absolutely delicious. Those ones,
yeah. So some nice things there. Hopefully, we see some movement from them rookies. What about yourself?
This segment feels a bit like Cards from Al. What was that segment he used to do on his show?
Mail time.
Yeah, mail time with Al.
Well, I think that's the first time I've sort of been buying cards. I'm glad to get involved.
Yeah, it's fun.
Look,
right?
I've got the itch now.
So, this package actually came from Michael Etheridge. So he does really good 99-cent auctions.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go through everyone because, I'll bore you guys with my cards. But the one that I'm happiest about, and actually, to be honest, I forgot that I won it, is a Moses Moody Silver rookie, a Prism rookie. So that one is that's my headline. I think I got that for 15. So pretty happy with that. I've got a couple of Jordans in here.
Yeah.
Got a Tyrese Maxey base. And this one actually, okay, last one. I promise, last one. You probably can't see my video online.
I can see. We can see it on YouTube. Yep.
So this is an Obsidian Najee Marshall rookie card, and I like him as a very low end prospect. But those Obsidian rookie cards, they are
pretty.
Very nice in your hand. Yeah.
They look nice.
Alrighty.
That's pocket change.
That is pocket change, and that takes us a little bit away from the $1 million cards we were just talking about, doesn't it?
Yes. I think it's a good balance this week. Yeah. No, that's what do it is that a wrap?
Yeah. Let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap this bad boy up, and well, thanks to everyone for listening. The big thing, if you guys have any ideas on this potential segment, we're going to call it Comp This. Well, I want to call it Comp This. We're not voting on this one. I'm just putting my foot down.
Really?
Yep. We're just going to call it Comp This.
Decided? Okay.
Exclamation point.
Yep.
Yep.
Great.
I don't know. I'm in a mood today.
No, that's fine.
But yeah, I like the idea. Like, even if we get some of the listeners to send us some submissions of different cards, they don't have to be $200,000, $500,000, $2 million cards. They can be $50 cards. They can be $50 and $100 cards. Which, like, yeah, we're just comparing. Who would you buy and why?
That's actually kind of a fun idea that we could do it. So yeah, we'll do some high end stuff, and we can do some low end stuff. We can do some like middle.
Yeah.
I like that too.
Yeah, and look, then we can do ones where you go, here's a $100 card that looks really nice, and here's a $2,000 card. Which would you buy and why?
Actually, that's a fun one. You could actually look at cards for their appearance as opposed to that sort of straight prospecting thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool
Yeah.
one.
You're going to spend $80 on your PC or something for your cabinet, or are you investing $2,500 in something you might be worth 10 grand one day?
Yep.
I like it. It'd be interesting. Cool. Cool.
Thanks to everyone's social media support. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's fun. It helps us keep moving through the week. Makes the content come easy too.
Yeah, can you imagine us racking our brains for content if these guys didn't contribute? It'd be
outrageous.
Yeah, we'd be in a lot of trouble. Also, thanks to our sponsor, EJ Cards. Yeah.
Thank you so much. We actually have some giveaways from EJ Cards, so we need to put our heads together out and work.
It's Christmas, so let's
wrap
the
them
gift
up,
the gift of gift. Yep, let's make someone's Christmas and not our own. No. Yeah, let's make someone's Christmas and organise a couple of giveaways. That sounds like a plan.
Great.
Awesome. Till next week.
Thanks, guys. Easy, guys. Bye.
Bye.